All right, all right, all right. We back at it. Another phenomenal episode of Shoot the Five with myself, your host, Xavier Porter, co-host Pat DeMoss.
Tonight, how we doing?
Hey, we chilling, Pat. We doing it up.
yeah. Sorry about that cough there.
Nah, it's cool.
Wrong pipe. You know what I mean? It happens.
Hey. I feel you. But you know, it's been a hectic week. Well, I want to say hectic. It's been a phenomenal week. You know, there's been a lot going on in sports, mixed martial arts, combat sports. So I figured tonight, you know, we jump right into it. I know there's a lot of things going on over in the MMA world. So I know you're excited. I know you amped. Let us know what's going on, man.
All right. So, X, this weekend, UFC 228 is going down. And, you know, obviously I'm a huge fan of the UFC, right? Huge fan of what they've done with the sport. But to be honest, it's been a while since I've been really amped up for a card. Yeah, there's been fights I've been amped up for. But in terms of an actual, like, entire card, not really. But UFC 228 has certainly got me feeling some type of way because, I mean, first of all, the main event, Tyron Woodley taking on Darren Till, is a phenomenal fight. We'll touch on that here in a second. You have Nico Montano, the women's flyweight champion, the first ever, taking on Valentina Shevchenko, who is an absolute killer. Zabit Magomedov, I think. His last name. I wish it was Nurmagomedov, but no, it is very hard. Last name, but he's an up-and-coming featherweight, very impressive. He's 15-1 in his MMA career, and he's just a phenomenal striker. He's very fun to watch. Nico Price also returns, who is, in one of my eyes, one of the rising welterweights in the division. He takes in Abdul Hassan, who is also another up-and-coming welterweight contender. Carla Esparza makes her return to the strawweight division as well, looking to continue her roll back to gold. Aljamain Sterling, Jimmy Rivera versus John Dodson in bantamweight. That's a phenomenal matchup, and that's pivotal for both the guys' careers because a loss, I think, is devastating at this point, especially for Dodson, but a win really just escalates them up. So that's a great fight. Diego Sanchez, a longtime UFC veteran. He was on The Ultimate Fighter 1. All right, that's how long this guy's been around the sport.
They call him the Nightmare, right? What do they call him?
The Nightmare. And yeah, he best believe he lives up to it. He's a crazy, crazy guy. I mean, literally, he'd walk out to the cage holding a cross, yelling, "Yes, yes!" I mean, the guy's he's psychotic. But he takes on Craig White at welterweight. You know, we'll get into that in a second. But Jim Miller also takes on Alex White at lightweight. Jim Miller is another UFC veteran. And that kind of Jared Brooks at flyweight is also fighting Roberto Sanchez. So that's a good fight as well. Pretty much what I'm trying to get at, X, is this card is absolutely stacked from head to toe. I mean, literally from the early prelims to the main event. Fantastic, right? So let's start off, though, with the main event because Tyron Woodley and Darren Till, I said a lot of hype lately. Darren Till, it's no secret, he is a huge guy for welterweight. He's listed at 6 foot, but if I'm guessing, he's 6'2", 6'2.5", maybe a little bit taller. Standing next to Tyron Woodley, he looks absolutely massive. The cut down to 170 is awful for him. But like I said, you know, this is his first title shot, and I think he has this mentality. He's like, I need to make weight. I have to make weight because this is my title shot. I get this opportunity. But yesterday, he weighed 182 pounds, and that's, I believe, Wednesday. 182 pounds Wednesday, weigh-ins for Friday. And he looked drained. He was interviewed on UFC on Fox. He looked absolutely drained. Like, it was bad. Very bad. But, you know, like I said, the guy's made welterweight before, so I'm not sure, you know, what the real problem is here. He's a very big guy, but that's certainly a concerning issue for us fans if he's going to make the weight. But let's go ahead and safely assume that Darren Till does make the weight. Again, he's a long, rangy fighter. Going against Tyron Woodley. If these guys were both healthy at 100%, I really like Darren Till in this fight because of his range, and he carries a lot of power. I mean, Tyron Woodley's fought the who's who of MMA, right? But then again, Darren Till has this freshness about him, and he packs a serious punch. And Tyron Woodley hasn't really fought a guy that packs that kind of power in quite a while, if ever, really, to be honest. But like I said, Darren Till does not seem at 100%, and if he makes the weight, I think he's going to be at 70%, and I think Tyron Woodley's going to mop the floor with him. If Darren Till really doesn't start to perk up, because he looked really bad today at the face-offs. But let me ask you, X, what do you think about Tyron Woodley and Darren Till? What do you think about that matchup?
I think it's a great matchup for the welterweight division within UFC. You got two big guys at 180, ready to get it on. Tyron Woodley's been the champion for a little bit now, and he's one of the best fighters within that division, and it's self-evident. So I think it's a pretty good matchup. I don't know too much about Mr. Till over there, but from what you're explaining and describing, it sounds like it could be a really long night for either fighter, because it appears that both fighters present a lot of skills where they can take each other out at any given point in time in the match. And as you know as well as I know, as any fan in the world of mixed martial arts and combat sports know, it only takes one punch, one kick, and that's it.
That's lights out.
So I expect it to be a good fight. I will definitely be watching and, trying to take a couple of notes from watching the fight as well. But like you mentioned, it's a pretty good card, man. It's a really, really good card.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Tyron Woodley, you said, he's one of the greatest welterweights to ever do it. And that's a true statement. He really is top 5 of all time in the welterweight division, no doubt. No doubt. Maybe top 3. He's probably top 3, greatest of all time in welterweight division, because he defended it 4 times in, 1 year, against very tough fighters. Sorry, I got a little bit of cold right now. Everyone listening. A little sniffly. But like I said, Tyron Woodley's, one of the greatest welterweights of all time. And I think his experience is also going to play a factor in this fight. In terms of the number of fights, they've both had around the same amount of fights. Darren Till 17 wins, no losses, 1 draw. Tyron Woodley 17, 3-1. Okay, so in terms of cage experience, they've had around the same. But, Tyron Woodley's been at the top of the sport for a long time, and he's been a top athlete for quite some time, wrestling Division I in Missouri. So, I think Tyron Woodley's probably going to get the job done Saturday night. But I want to move on real quick to the women's flyweight division. Nika Montano defending her belt for the first time against Valentina Shevchenko. If you don't know, Shevchenko actually is coming from bantamweight down to flyweight, and she just recently fought Amanda Nunes, who is the UFC bantamweight champion in the women's division. Very close fight. She was edged out by decision. Some people thought Shevchenko won that fight, obviously including yourself. And, when I watched the fight personally, it was super close. But, I can definitely see where people give Shevchenko the edge. But her problem is she's very short. Just not really a bantamweight fighter. I think flyweight is going to be much more comfortable for her. She's a dynamic striker. She's very polished. And Nika Montano has her hands full here. Valentina Shevchenko is like a minus 1250 favorite in this fight. Absolutely massive lopsided in terms of odds there. So if you're a betting man, Shevchenko may be the way to go. But, upsets happen. But, in my eyes, I love Nika Montano. I think she has a lot of heart. She's a great first inaugural champion for the flyweight division, but she's only 4-2. She's had 6 fights total. Valentina Shevchenko is 15-3. Has a lot of experience there. She also did, I believe it was kickboxing for quite some time, and that was very well. She had a very long career there as well. So I think Shevchenko gets the job done there. Again, we can talk about all these fights, but I just want to list out a few more. Nico Price. Let me tell you something about Nico Price, X. I don't know if you know him or not, but I play fantasy DFS for MMA, and I also do bets, right? And Nico Price, as soon as he came onto the scene at the UFC, I was like, this guy, he's going to get the win, right? And every time I put him in a lineup, he has treated me very well in terms of me winning. So Nico Price is my man. He did have a recent setback, but he's a very dangerous welterweight fighter, and he's coming off a beautiful performance over Randy Brown. Literally, he was in his guard, hammer fisting, right? He's on his back throwing hammer fists and knocks Randy Brown out cold. It was insane. That's definitely a guy to watch. This fight is going to be violent because he's taking on a guy in Abdul who just packs a massive punch. He's 9-1. He's very violent. He's very quick. It's not the most technical boxing, but it's a lot of power shots Abdul can throw, and this fight's sure to be fireworks. And that will kick off the main card for UFC 227. Prelims, Aljamain Sterling doesn't make his return against Cody Stamann. That's a good bantamweight fight, but I want to point out real quick, Jimmy Rivera taking on John Dodson. It's a very good fight, very, very good fight. Again, for John Dodson, in my eyes, if he doesn't get the win here, it's a huge setback because John Dodson is this guy that has been at the top of the sport, has had his title shots, at flyweight against Demetrius Johnson, came up short both times. Like I said, he's just one of those guys that just can't really catch a break right now in the bantamweight division. And this guy holds a knockout win over TJ Dillashaw. So, I mean, he's a well-respected fighter. But like I said, he's on kind of like this decision road that's kind of been bad. And what I mean is, right, when he made his debut back to bantamweight, he had a TKO win in 2016. Then lost a split decision to Lineker, won a decision over Eddie Wineland, lost a split decision over Marlon Moraes, and then just won a split decision over Pedro Munoz at UFC 222. So he's taking on Jimmy Rivera. Jimmy Rivera is a solid guy, and for a long time, a lot of people thought Jimmy Rivera was going to be the guy that's going to challenge next for the title until he got head kicked in the first round by Marlon Moraes, which was absolutely insane. It was a beautiful knockout by Marlon. But he's looking, obviously, to rebound from that loss. That was his first loss since 2008, I believe. So he's looking to come back with vengeance. It's a very good fight. I got Jimmy Rivera slightly edged here just because I think he's going to have a lot more hunger underneath his belt. That's just coming after that devastating loss. But, yeah, that's UFC 228 in a nutshell. Some great fights. Actually, there's a ton of great fights. If you're a fight fan, I don't care if you watch boxing, BJJ, what have you, it's sure to be fireworks. Cops in the background there. A fire truck. Oh, man.
When you said fans that love to watch combat sports, they came right out.
They're coming. Yeah, they're saying, get out the way. We're watching. It ain't till Saturday, guys. But, yeah. Real quick in the MMA world, we got to talk about Conor McGregor. It wouldn't be a podcast if we didn't talk about Conor McGregor if it's about MMA, right? Because he's fighting against him, so we have to talk about him every time.
Hey.
But no, I mean, listen, it's so exciting, right? But, real quick, I do want to mention, though, UFC 228 takes place this Saturday. I believe it's in Las Vegas. It's in the American Airlines Center. Takes place this Saturday. Make sure you watch it. Go to your local bar. Buy the paper. If you're one of those guys that buys only the great pay-per-views, which I totally understand, this is one to buy for sure. I would 100% pay $60 for this, just because the whole card's stacked. So it's a great night. For sure, check that out this Saturday. But like I said, let's get back to UFC 229 real quick. We're skipping over 2 fight nights. Because, that doesn't have Conor McGregor in it. But real quick, Conor McGregor and Khabib are building up. Conor's been, not as, vibrant as he has been in the past in his build-up the fights. Would you agree? He's been a little bit quiet?
Yeah, because you got to charge. You got arrested. I'd be quiet, too. If you act a fool... And I say it like this, Conor McGregor has been living on top of the world for years, rightfully so. He's earned that position, and everything that he's, done within the UFC and how he's been marketed or how he's marketed himself and been victorious and gets some of the best fighters in the world in that sport. Then he goes over to boxing and makes a huge chunk of money and becomes another household name in another sport. And then now you're just at an all-time high. It's like you smoke the best whatever drug in the world. You're at an all-time high. You feel like you can't come down or nothing can bring you down. But you do what you did when you throw the wheel card or the wheel card, whatever you want to call it, at the bus and you mess up not only certain fighters who were scheduled to appear on the fight card, you messed up their fight, but you injured them. You injured them with a weapon. So, and then when you get arrested for that, when you go to jail, you face some time. And luckily he got some money, he got some good lawyers, and he is who he is, that he was able to get out of that situation. But if he wasn't Conor McGregor, he'd be probably still on Rikers Island. So, I think Conor McGregor right now was looking at this fight as an opportunity to come back, get his fan support again. He's always had the fan support, but come back, take a spot back as the top fighter, lightweight, featherweight, whichever division he's in. I believe it's lightweight within
lightweight,
within UFC, within the world period of mixed martial arts. But he's not stupid. He's not stupid. He's facing a guy that's 26-0. That doesn't fear him, not one bit.
Yeah. You're right.
So I think there's a reason for Conor to be a little reserved, So, hey.
Yeah, I agree with that. 100%. Khabib is not afraid of Conor McGregor, and I think that's very apparent. However, Conor McGregor did post something on his Instagram recently. It was a picture of him with training, obviously, and he said, "If he dies, then I'm paid twice." So the animosity is building up a little bit, I believe, and I think once we have this press conference finally, hopefully, which should be sometime in the coming weeks, I hope. They really need to market this a little bit better, I think, even though it's Conor McGregor. But, that's besides the point. But I do want to touch on something real quick with Conor McGregor. A lot of people are calling that he will retire if he's unsuccessful against Khabib. Now, I'm in disbelief of that because, he obviously he loves this money and he came into the sport for money. That's 100% right. However, he's a competitor and he's a very, he came from humble beginnings. So, I think he realizes that he can have everything, but he can lose it just as quick as he gained it. So, for me, I don't think a loss to Khabib makes him go back to the trenches and just hide out and retire. I don't. What do you think about that? That's what I really wanted to ask you. Do you think that he retires if he takes a loss to Khabib?
I think he takes more. I think if he takes a loss to Khabib, and it depended on the type of loss, whether it's a ground and pound, whether if he gets knocked out, he gets knocked out. If he gets choked out, he gets choked out. But if he takes a ground and pound, butt kicking, ass kicking, since we're on a podcast, we can drop the profanities. If he takes one of those type of really bad beatings, he will retire. Literally, if he takes a bad beating, he will retire. I'm optimistic that if he takes a bad beating, that he will come back for one more fight just to walk off in the sun with a victory behind his, without his belt. But other than that, this is his. I don't want to say this fight is for his legacy, but this fight is for him, a personal thing for him. Because his legacy is already established. He's a legend. No matter what happens in this fight, he will always be Conor McGregor. He is who he is. It's like when Matt Hughes was dominating the sport, and then eventually somebody came along that was just a little bit quicker, a little bit stronger, and was able to just take over from that point on. Yeah,
the thing about Conor McGregor is really obviously what separated him is the atmosphere he brought into the cage, into a room, right? Very charismatic. But on a fighting level, when I study Conor McGregor and I compare him to other fighters, his style is second to none. No one can mimic Conor McGregor. The way he moves, the way he throws punches, at his very core, I believe he's probably the best striker in the UFC. And that's not me being a Conor McGregor fanboy or anything. That's just me observing just how quick he really is. And, if you watch his fight against Eddie Alvarez, it looked like Eddie Alvarez was a JUCO player going against an NFL player. like, that's what it looked like. It looked like JUCO versus NFL. Like, it was insane. Like, the level of separation between their skill set and the striking department. And then Conor McGregor stuffed them very well. I mean, it was a beautiful performance, one of the most dominating I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people underestimate McGregor just because of what kind of person he is, right? He's the LeBron of our sport. Simple as that. He's always going to receive criticism for whatever he does. You know, but like I said, I think he matches up very well with Khabib. The problem is, can he keep Khabib off him enough to where he's not getting dragged down and, you know, like you said, taking an ass kicking on the mat, essentially. Can he avoid the big shots on the ground? Can he avoid the submission attempts? Is he strong enough to get back to his feet? These are questions that we don't know. We're just going to have to find out. But, yeah, that's pretty much all I want to talk about with MMA on that side. Really just UFC 228. Super packed this weekend. One of the best cards that I've seen in quite some time. And then you got UFC 229, the next main event. Anything else you want to add on the MMA side, X? Anything that popped up to you?
Yeah, absolutely. We got a couple of good fight cards coming up. Actually next week, on the 15th, they have the new Mark Taffet. He has this MMA league taking place in Atlantic City, and it's going to be, you know, Dan Miller is supposed to be one of the lead trainers, or basically take a part in this. So they have a pretty good stacked fight card next week on September 15th. And then, you know, we got PFL coming up in a couple of weeks in October, and the big heavyweight showdown in Bellator between Kale Shonen, your guy Sonnen, and Mr. Fido over there. So we got a couple of good fight cards coming up with PFL, Bellator, and MMA. I'm excited. I'm excited about that. I really, really am.
Yeah, and Bellator, by the way, I believe has an event coming up. Let me just do a quick search on that. I haven't been keeping up with Bellator as much as I should be. But yeah, I know Bellator is hosting a huge mega fight here on the horizon between Gegard Mousasi and Roy McDonald for the middleweight title.
Yeah.
That is going to be a huge fight because Roy McDonald is a very talented fighter, and Gegard Mousasi has been very dominant for quite some time at middleweight, both in the UFC and Bellator. So I'm interested to see what happens there. I'm not quite sure on that date. Let me just go ahead and check, though.
That's going to be shown. That's going to be shown on DAZN, I believe. And our favorite fighters in the world, Vanderlei Silva and Rampage Jackson, I believe, are going to be on that card as well.
September 29th. So we'll cover that maybe next week. We'll talk about that on the MMA side, depending on UFC 228, because we may just have to talk about that, because that card's going to be absolutely balls to the wall. Oh! Also, October 12th and 13th for Bellator, which is quite some time away. Heavyweight semifinals. Matt Mitrione, Ryan Bader, Fedor, and Chael Sonnen. But yeah, that wraps it up for my side. But I know boxing has been popping lately in the news, especially in that big old heavyweight division they carry. So I'll let you go ahead and transition into what you want to talk about here, because I'm sure you got some good stuff for us here.
Yeah, I was over here shadowboxing while you was bringing me in. Yeah, this week has been. I'll tell you, Pat. This week has been amazing. I haven't even been able to put my thoughts and wrap my brain around everything that's been going on. As you can hear, the fire alarms in the back. It's been going.
We got fires everywhere.
Everybody's excited for combat sports, you know, like.
Yeah.
I mean, they just made these huge announcements. The Zone, first off, kicked off everything with their global network and their global platform of providing sports throughout the world, and with their with the partnership with Matchroom Boxing was fantastic. And you know, it kind of made the world stop for a little bit, but then you get a mega deal with ESPN and Top Rank. You get a great fight deal with them, and Bob Arum and Top Rank promoting fight cards on ESPN. And then this week you get a
a deal that just is mind-boggling. It's so impressive. I mean, the details alone to the deal is I'm still studying it as it is. But, Premier Boxing Champions, Al Heyman's Premier Boxing Champions, has made a deal not only with Showtime Boxing but other networks to provide fight fans with mega fights or at least championship-level fights each month for the next, I don't know how many months. And, I mean, they got a huge budget, and it's going to be amazing. They have a deal with Fox Sports 1. They have a deal with Showtime. And I believe, I can't recall the other channel, but it's another network that they have a deal with. So each week, basically, or each month, there's going to be a huge fight in boxing taking place. So I'm excited about that. It's been the talk of the town. You look on YouTube everywhere, everybody's talking about, wow, Al Heyman and PBC done threw a right hook and a right hand and a left hook and knocked out the zone. And Eddie Hearn with this huge network deal that they're presenting. I'm just excited about that, and I can't wait to see what happens. Because, they have so many fighters. They have so many fighters that they need to use. They need to get those guys out. They need to use them. So, hey, it is what it is. But on that note, this Saturday, Showtime Sean Porter against Danny Swift Garcia for the vacant WBC Welterweight Championship. I'll tell you, if you've seen the press conference today, if you've seen the build-up to this fight, these guys have been, I'd like to quote Brian Custer, they've been orbiting each other's careers, or their careers have been orbiting each other, and now they have to get it on. They have to get it on. You got a guy that comes forward. He's aggressive in his nature. He loves to just take the fight to you and Sean Porter. And you got a guy that loves to sit in the pocket and counterpunch and time you. And Danny Garcia. It's an old school throwback fight. You got a Philly fighter against a Cleveland fighter. Danny Garcia being from Philly, and Sean Porter being from Cleveland. And they both want it bad. I'm telling you, they both want it bad. So I expect everybody to come out, be in attendance. They're gonna love it. I'm telling you, they're gonna love it. It's just going to be so amazing. You got the fight card has former heavyweight world champion Charles Martin taking on Adam Kalnacki. So you got Charles Martin, who got knocked out by Anthony Joshua, who a lot of people feel like he should have never taken the fight. However, he took the fight. He went over to Europe, went over to London, got paid a bunch of money, ended up losing his title. Now he's fighting big Adam Kalnacki, babyface. He got the cutest little babyface, Adam Kalnacki. Polish heavyweight, undefeated. That's going to be a good fight. Both of these guys are all-out action fighters. Charles Martin is more of a slick boxer, and he's a southpaw. Adam Kalnacki, he just doesn't know how to stop it and loves to come forward. One thing I'm really excited about also, about this weekend, Amanda Serrano. She's getting ready to fight for the WBO junior welterweight or super lightweight. It's at 140 pounds. She's getting ready to fight for the WBO title. Amanda Serrano is looking to become the first female in boxing's history as the six-time or six-division world champion. The only other fighters in boxing history that have achieved this historical feat is Oscar De La Hoya and Manny Pacquiao. Now, those are some names to be locked in a conversation. And to be doing it for women's boxing, it's another huge step to take the sport to another level. Unfortunately, the fight is going to be streamed on Facebook and Showtime Extreme. Wish it could be on the the actual, like maybe the first card to be shown at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock when Showtime comes on and everybody gets to see it across the world. But it is what it is. It's a great opportunity for Amanda Serrano. It's a huge, huge, huge dent in women's boxing, and showing that women can take the sport to a whole nother level. They need to be supported, definitely need to be respected, and definitely need to be paid just like the men. So I salute her. I had a great conversation with her today. We talked about the upcoming fight between Heather Hardy and Shalito Vincent. We talked about the upcoming middleweight unification bout between Clarissa Shields and Christina Hammer. And we also talked about her MMA career, as well as her sister's upcoming title fight against Ireland's Olympic gold medalist Katie Taylor, which is taking place on October 20th in Boston. Boston. Like
good old Boston.
Boston.
Lasagna from you.
And overseas, we got some good fights taking place. We got Samuel Vargas from Canada taking on Amir Khan, and honestly, Amir Khan needs this win. Yeah, I know.
Oh, Amir Khan, yes.
I know.
He needs this.
He definitely needs it bad. He if he gets this win, he stays afloat. He stays a name. He's a former world champion. Definitely a good fighter, but he stays a name in the welterweight division. So hopefully he pulls the win out. I hear you huffing and puffing, ready to get it out. Go ahead, let it out.
Okay, Amir Khan, right? He reminds me of like a Luke Rockhold in a sense.
Okay.
For MMA.
Luke Rockhold?
Yeah, he's a very technical guy. Like, he's technically sound. He's just chinny, He's just chinny a little bit. Gets hit, and kind of goes down. He just needs this win bad. I just look at him like a guy. It's like, you're so good, but it's like, God, some of these shots he crumbles underneath. It's like, man. But it's like, man, come on, Khan. But hey, like you said, he really needs this win, and I couldn't agree 100% more.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you, and I believe everybody else would agree with you. He's technically sound, speed, quickness, athletic, has decent power. Good power, almost if he'd never got cracked by Canelo, might have pulled off the stunning victory, because he was winning the fight in a lot of people's eyes. But like you said, he is chinny, and if you hit him at the right spot, it all goes down. Ashes to ashes, it all goes down.
Yeah. And you brought up, I know there's some more overseas fights, but we got to talk about GGG and Canelo, right? Yeah. That has to be brought up.
That's next week too. Yeah, the 15th. Yeah. I know. You know what? I'm a little upset about that fight. Before we get to Triple G and Canelo, I just want to mention Hank Lundy. Salute. That's my guy out of Philly, fighting for the WBC Silver International belt, I believe, at 135. He's fighting for that belt. And salute Amir Mansour. He's fighting for the WBC International Heavyweight title. They're both fighting over there in Russia. I applaud those guys. Those are some good guys out there. They just need another opportunity. They're veteran fighters. Hopefully, they go their alarm again. It's like, hey, man, those are some good guys. Hopefully they pull out the wins. When their alarm goes off, that means we're saying something good. I believe they're going to pull out the wins, and that will get them, one step closer to world title shots that they both definitely deserve. So hats off to the team over there from Big Cat, James Gibbs, and CES Boxing, Jimmy Birchfield. And good luck to Hank, and good luck to Amir. Bring them titles back home. But, yes, Triple G and Canelo. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay. So, I'll be blunt. I think I mentioned this a little bit beforehand when the fight was first back announced earlier in the year. I totally thought GGG won the first fight. I can see where Canelo, where you can argue for a draw because of his technicality, and like you said, GGG was headhunting. Yeah, he definitely was, right? He didn't really mix it up all that well. His combinations weren't as fluid as they could have been, for sure. And I think Canelo did land some great combinations in that fight. When I look at this rematch, though, there's some controversy around it. There's a little bit of controversy, right? The PED testing that popped up with Canelo. And you look at I saw a picture earlier today. It was two side-by-side comparisons, okay? You had Canelo, pre his drug test, looking, beefy in the chest. His traps were a little bit bigger. Shoulders were bigger. He's looking, you know what I mean? He's looking big. And then you look to the right, and then you see a much more trimmed, but in my opinion, a much more in shape Canelo off PEDs. I don't know if he was on PEDs or not. Again, blaming it on me. I'm not gonna judge him because, to be honest, I don't know. He doesn't look all too much different, but you could tell there's a little bit of a difference. I think Canelo fights better when he's thin. I think you just look at his fights in the past, when he's beefier, he just looks a little bit slower. I think that's anybody, right? You gain a little bit more muscle, you're going to be a little bit slower. You may pack more of a punch, but can you land that punch? So I think he's definitely coming in, definitely looking for speed this fight. Because, to be honest, in my opinion, if Canelo has a route to win this fight, it has to be off of his footwork and his speed. Because he's not going to win this in a power. And yeah, he packs a punch, but GGG has a chin and a half. right? It's not Khan out there, right? You're not going to crack him with an overhand. He's gonna melt to the mat. That's not going to happen. I'm not saying it could or it couldn't, but historically GGG holds up very well. And I think for GGG to pull off this win, it's going to be tough for him as well. I think he needs to put up better combinations. I think he needs to go to the body more. And overall, I think he needs a little bit more of an athletic pounce to him, if you will. It's kind of hard to explain, but sometimes when you catch GGG, he looks a little bit stiff in there, right? He looks a little too tense, moving not athletically as he should with his feet. But it's definitely going to be a close fight again, I think. So it was definitely a close fight the first time. And I can't really pick – if I had to pick a winner right now, I'd say GGG just because of how the first fight went, and, it hasn't been terribly long since that. But what are your thoughts? Who do you think gets this done, and how do you compare the matchup this time around to last time?
I'm a little disappointed, honestly. It's because this thing should have taken place back in May. However, the rematch. However, it didn't because of the issues and the reasons that you just mentioned with the eating the tainted meat.
Horse meat's a killer.
Yeah, I'll tell you. But I just don't. The politics behind it. It was evident that the rematch was going to take place. It just saddens. It's like it's like you watered down the drink for me. If I go to the bar and I order something and I say, hey, I want this, that, and the third, and then you put water in it after I ordered it the way I wanted it, you messed up my drink. I don't want the drink no more, or I'm not gonna enjoy the drink as much as I wanted to enjoy it when I first ordered it. And that's how I feel about this rematch. It was such a phenomenal fight. The first fight, both of them gave it their all, which makes the second fight so intoxicating and addictive and want us to watch it even more. Similar to Heather Hardy versus Shalito Vincent. The first fight was such a phenomenal fight that we wanted to see the second fight for so long. I do believe the second fight is going to be just as good as the first fight, and I do believe the same thing with Triple G and Canelo. I just wish that it came sooner, just like Shelly and Heather. It's going to be a phenomenal fight. Both men, they're going to come in there. They're going to do what they got to do. They're going to take it. They're going to take it to each other. I don't think Canelo is going to be able to get away from the constant pressure that Triple G is going to apply on him. And I also believe that Triple G is going to do something much different, which is really break him down. I don't think Triple G is going to take these punches as easy as he took them before, because I do think Canelo is packing a little bit more power outside of the tainted meat. I think he slimmed, like you just mentioned. He slimmed down, he trimmed down, but it's more balanced. Whereas before, he just put on muscle. Now he's more balanced. He's grown into his physicalities. He's grown into his body. Because people got to remember, Canelo's still a young guy. He started fighting early. He turned pro big, I think about 17, 18, and he's fought a lot of guys. He hasn't touched 30. I believe he's maybe 28, 29. So he's still growing into his manhood, his manpower. So I just think it's going to be a phenomenal fight. I'm really not so amped about going out there to see it. This time I will be at home. I will catch a stream of it, and who knows? We'll see what happens after. It's just like the Anthony Joshua fight and Deontay Wilder fight. Like, come on, man. Politics. Leave the politics where it's at in the White Office. We don't need it in boxing. And we don't even need these politics in the White Office either. But that's another story. That's another story.
Yeah. You mentioned the heavyweights. Obviously, we're going to have to get to Wilder and Fury. But to cap off real quick on GGG and Canelo, I want to point something out really, really quick. This fight takes place when?
Triple G and
next
Canelo?
Weekend, right?
Yeah, next week Saturday, and I believe in Las Vegas. Yeah. That's how much I've been paying attention to it, because I don't even care about the venue.
Let me say, Las Vegas is going to be a packed place here with GGG, Canelo too.
It's going to
Conor
be
McGregor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very highly watched event. And here's my problem with boxing. And this has nothing to do with the sport, but it has to do with the promotion. I haven't seen much about the rematch. Yet they want to charge me, I believe, is it $90 to watch this fight? I forgot. I saw the price the other day. Let me see if I can find the exact number here for you, X. But insanely high.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a fan of boxing. I do enjoy boxing. It's a great sport to watch. However, you can't sit there and charge people $90. At my McGregor Mayweather, which I will admit, I paid $100 for that. I did. I wanted to see that fight. That's like a once in a lifetime kind of thing. And some people, would be like, "Oh, that was very stupid." But in my eyes, I just saw like this event is, it's a once in a lifetime kind of history thing. So I want to watch it live, and I don't want to have to, get a crummy free stream just in case it crashes, right? But GGG Canelo too. As hyped as it is just, it's a boxing fight. It's not some kind of mutant fight, if you will, to where two stars are, meeting in the ring or cage or what have you for the first time. No one's going to happen. It's mind-boggling. Why charge that much for? Okay, it's $80 for high definition. Excuse me, but still, that's insane. How do you feel about that? We haven't really talked about this ever on or off the podcast. What do you think about boxing's charge for their pay-per-view fights? Do you think it's ridiculous, or do you think it's fair?
Honestly, I don't care because I ain't paying. I'll tell you that off the top. I don't care how much they charge it. I'm not paying for no ticket. I'm going to find it on Instagram somewhere, or YouTube, or Facebook, or the internet. I'm going to catch me a live stream somewhere, or that's just going to be, or I'm just not going to watch it. Simple as that. Or what I'll do, I'll go to sleep. I'll wake up and watch it on YouTube and watch it from there. Because that's, why pay all this money? I mean, it's nothing like, no, don't get me wrong. It's nothing like an experience to be at a fight live. Trust me, it's like going to any other sporting event. It's nothing like a live football game, being in the audience, being in the stands, being in the stadium and watching everything and feeling the air, the wind, everybody drinking and doing whatever they're doing. It's nothing like a live sporting event. But to pay whatever amount of money, like $99, how much dollars, to watch it at home, me personally, I find that a bit ridiculous. You can use that same $99 and you can have a whole lot of fun doing something else and come back and still watch the fight for free.
Quick story about that fight. Rented it. For those who don't know, I'm in college currently right now.
Yeah.
And
hats off to you too.
Appreciate it. College it's fun, it's stressful. But, so I'm in college during this fight, and I ordered the pay-per-view. I was telling my roommates, I was like, hey, let's have a few people over, some of our teammates or whatever, a few friends. Let's watch the fight together. So we do. And we watch all the fights. Gervonta Davis fought on that fight, or on that card. So, we get through all the fights. McGregor and Mayweather come on. My room is filled with like 80, 90 people. I'm like, what is this? Everyone just comes barging in because I guess word got out that I had the fight going on in my living room, and just it was a nightmare. I mean, the dorms had set up like a tiny apartment, to be honest. 4 rooms, and a living room and a half kitchen and 2 baths. It's not very big, and like I said, so many people were in here. It was ridiculous, but little life story there for my first ever paid boxing event.
I don't want to know what else happened in that dorm room. So we're gonna cut this. We're gonna cut this. And,
a lot of studying. That's what she's really.
Okay, we're gonna cut this short. For Pat and I, we appreciate you guys listening. Check us out next week, live and direct. Shoot the 5 back on myself.
Whoa! We got to slow it down really quick, X. I forgot to mention. This is the first time. BJJ event. We talked about this when we first started the inaugural program. We're going to talk about. Yeah. There's actually something I want to talk about really quick on BJJ. Kevin Lee from the UFC has agreed to partake in a BJJ match against Dylan Danis, who trains with Conor McGregor, and I believe in Submission Underground, so these subbed or whatever it's called. Let me tell you something. If this grappling match happens, it'd be very great. Kevin Lee's a very strong individual. Dylan Danis is slick on the ground. I just wanted to throw that out there for fight fans who are not aware of that happening because, Dylan Danis is an MMA fighter. He does fight for Bellator. He got his first MMA win not too long ago, but he's mainly a BJJ guy, right? Kevin Lee, on the other hand, is mainly a mixed martial artist, but again, a lot of these MMA guys can transition into BJJ events, and I think you just fine. So if you're a fan of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or any foreign martial art, that would be a match surely to tune into. And we'll talk about that more if we get more details later on. But I just wanted to throw it out there real quick because we haven't talked about, any other sports yet besides MMA and boxing. So maybe that's our little introduction to expanding eventually.
That's a great idea, Pat. Definitely. We'll definitely see when the alarm goes off. That means, hey, great idea.
Yeah, good stuff.
That is a great idea. We definitely should include some. I'm gonna say Brazilian, like you said, BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and some other forms or disciplines of combat sports. Yeah, let's definitely include that. And by all means, you guys out there, our listeners, if you have any suggestions, words of advice, words of encouragement, positive criticism, we're all open to that. We created the podcast not only, because we enjoy, mixed martial arts and combat sports, but we also want to have it more engaging. So, shortly in the future, you're going to have people call in. Everybody's not going to agree. People are going to disagree. However, we want to open this podcast to others in the near future. And you can always reach me on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. You can reach Pat on Instagram or Facebook. And, leave us messages, inbox us, give us some ideas and suggestions. And if you want to come on the show, we can work it out, schedule you guys to come on. Like I said, we appreciate everybody's support. We appreciate the listeners. As we grow, you guys will grow with us. We're going to have special guests come on every now and again. We're looking to have a special guest come on next week. As you can see, last week we had Heather Shelley come on. Check out the link. It's on Facebook right now. We'll be dropping it on YouTube. Pat, you can drop your link again, your Instagram.
Check this out. You ready for this? It's Pat 8 Lax. Boom. There it is.
Okay. So it's Pat 8 Lex. See, the alarm went off again. Pat 8 Lex.
It's a great name.
And you can reach out to me. I'm on Instagram, Xavier Porter 227 or BrooklynFights 1. Shoot the 5-1. Listen, hit us up. We appreciate y'all. We back next week. See y'all soon.
Shoot the 5.